welcome. You're watching Next IAS English Species in News. Today we are going to cover some very nice species. So the first species that we are going to cover is our Arctic seals and global birds under threat. Now let's begin the journey in the icy Arctic. Imagine a vast white landscape and right in the middle a hooded seal looking straight at you. Now, according to the 2025 IUCN Red List, this hooded seal has been declared vulnerable to endangered. And what does it mean is, think of the right list like a doctor's chart for species. Vulnerable means the patient needs checkup, and endangered means that the patient is now in ICU. It's serious. Similarly, the bearded and harp seals have been moved to near threatened category, and that's like a yellow traffic light warning us that this species is slowing down and it needs help. And here's a shocking figure. 61% of bird species show that they are declining globally. That's 3 out of every 5 birds you normally see on your morning walk. Imagine your local park suddenly 60% quieter. That's how serious the decline is. Now, what are the causes behind the Arctic decline? Let's have a look at them. So, what really is driving this crisis is the main culprit, which is climate change. Melting sea ice disrupts some breeding cycles. You can think of sea ice as a nursery for seals. When that ice melts too early, pups have no safe place to rest or hide from predators. Add on overfishing, oil exploration, ship traffic, and underwater noise pollution. It's like trying to raise children next to 24-hour construction site with less and less food available. For birds, the threat are global deforestation, habitat loss, invasive species. Even a single rat introduced on a remote island can wipe out an entire seabird colony in one season. Now, let's talk about the global impacts. What are the global impacts? Now, the ripple effects go far beyond the Arctic, and the collapsing of Arctic food webs. The collapse of entire Arctic food web starts breaking down, and that affects polar bears, fisheries, and even indigenous communities. Migratory birds, they also depend on wetlands. Think of them as airport stopovers. When those wetlands vanish, migration fails entirely. So the Arctic is like a canary in the coal mine, the early warning system for our planet. What happens to ice-dependent species today will shape global weather and the food security tomorrow. So now let's move on to another species, which is falling camel counts. Now let's shift from ice to sand. So the Gobi desert, here we find one of the rarest mammals on earth, the wild bacterian camel, or Camelus ferus. So ferus means wild, differentiating it from domestic camels. In 2025, its status improved slightly from critically endangered to endangered. But don't celebrate just yet. Fewer than 1,000 individuals are left worldwide. And imagine this classroom as the world's camel population. That's all that remains. They survive in the deserts of Mongolia and northwest China, wandering hundreds of kilometers in search of water. Now let's talk about the key threats to wild camels. The challenges are all human-made. Mining and water extraction, water scarcity, drying up of their limited oases, hybridization with domestic camels, poaching and competition with livestock, climate change and desertification. All these are challenges. You know, they make their life even harder. And of course, climate change adds another layer with less rainfall and expanding deserts. Yet, these camels are ecological marvels able to survive where almost nothing else can. Saving them requires Mongolia-China cooperation, GPS tracking, and anti-poaching patrols. Moving forward, let's talk about the third species. Now let's move on to the snow leopards, also known as Panthera uncia. So this is a scientific name. Let's climb to the Himalayas now, home to the beautiful but elusive snow leopard. The word uncia comes from an old term for ounce. And since people thought once it was like a pale lynx. According to India's 2025 SPAI survey, there are just 718 snow leopards across Jammu and Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Sikkim and Arunachal Pradesh. That's fewer animals than the crowds at two small stadiums. The species is vulnerable, stable, but still at risk. And now let's discuss the threats to snow leopards. What threatens them is habitat fragmentation and infrastructure in fragile zones, poaching and retaliatory killings, decline of prey species, blue sheep tahr, climate change. Now climate change you will see everywhere. Climate change altering snow and prey distribution. So their prey, blue sheep and Himalayan tahr are also disappearing, and as the snow lines rise due to climate change, these cats are being pushed higher and higher into shrinking territories. Now let's talk about how to conserve. What are the conservation efforts we can do for snow leopards? See, there is hope. India's project Snow Leopard under the MOEFCC, the 12-nation GSLEF initiative and the International Big Cat Alliance are all working together. Snow leopards are umbrella species, meaning if you protect them, you automatically protect the entire mountain ecosystems and watersheds that provide water to millions downstream. Moving forward, let's talk about the last species for today, which is Indian wolf, India's forgotten predator. Now, let's talk about the Indian wolf. A lesser known predator, also called Canis lupus palpis, meaning pale-footed. The 2025 IUCN update has finally recognized it as a distinct species and listed as vulnerable. Their population is just 2,877 to 3,310 individuals in India plus Pakistan. Now their habitat is semi-arid grasslands and scrublands of peninsular India. Now let's talk about the threats to our Indian wolves. Their biggest problems are habitat loss due to agriculture and urbanization, declining prey as I've already told you that they are predator species, so their preys are also declining, disease and hybridization with stray dogs, and more than 13% range under protected areas. So in working landscapes also it is very important. Now why do they matter? Because they represent India's neglected grassland ecosystems and carry an ancient genetic lineage. India needs to move beyond forest-centric conservation and protect their grasslands and community landscapes as well. Programs like livestock insurance awareness drives and corridor creation can reduce the conflict and secure their future. They are truly the underdogs of Indian conservation. Save the wolf and you save the grasslands, the black bugs and the rural ecosystem as well. So these were the 4 species that we have discussed, and we have one planet and there are 4 warnings. So in the end, these 4 stories of seals, camels, snow leopards and wolves all deliver one big message, which is our ecosystems may look different, ice, desert, mountains or grasslands, but the threat remains the same. Climate change is one of the biggest threats, habitat loss and human pressure. Each of these species is more than an animal. It's a barometer of ecosystem health. If we protect them through science-based policy, community involvement and international cooperation as well, we are protecting our own future. So the next time you hear about climate change, think of these faces: the seal, the camel, the leopard and the wolf. They're warning us before it's too late. So that is it for today. I will see you in another episode of Species in News. Until then, bye-bye. Take care.